The Platform.
It is a very warm welcome onto the program. He deserves a drum roll because the Phoenix have started like a rocket. It's his first year in charge. Giancarlo Italiano, who is called Chiefy. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks for having me on.
I want to talk about the start of the season in a second, but a story that is dominating the News Hub website at the moment is the re-signing of Ben Old. So talk to us about that. How pleased are you about that?
I'm very pleased. On a personal note, I've done a lot of work with Oldie since he started almost 4 years ago now. So now he's maturing into a young man. So I'm really happy for him. In terms of the club, very happy with a decision they've made. It falls all into line with the policy of the club moving forward, wanting to keep players that they produce and keep them at the club and develop them hopefully for better things.
Yeah, it must be so pleasing and also very proud for everyone that has been involved with the academy as well, that, this guy joins when he's 15 years old and you start to see the fruits of this.
Yeah, well, I think if you look at a lot of the players that have come through now through the academy, a lot of those boys are actually scouted by Paul Temple. And he had a good eye for bringing these boys in. And we were lucky enough to bring in Oldie when COVID came through, and we had that game against Western United in front of a packed Sky Stadium. And they gave him the opportunity to show us what he had, and from there we were just able to give him that opportunity. So yeah, it's very promising.
Mind you, can I call you Chiefy? I haven't met you, so I feel like if I call you that, I'm kind of stepping out. Is that okay? Okay. Yeah. You're in the winning business because you are a professional sports coach, and so your job depends on that. So is it a delicate balancing act where you also feel like this part of this franchise is we want to develop our own players, but at the same time you've got to be winning?
Yeah, I wouldn't put it where we need to be winning. Every game, the expectation is also realistic here. It's not as though we're planning here thinking that we're going to win every game for the whole season. It's true, it is a meritocracy, and sometimes in football, when you play well, sometimes you don't win, and when you're playing poorly, sometimes you do get results. But for me, the main thing is focusing on what the goal of the club is long term, and then I'd like to think that everything else kind of figures itself out, right? So we have a clear football identity, bring in the players that we want to bring in, and then we just stick to those processes that everything should sort itself out.
What is the goal of the club long term in your mind?
Well, I think long term, the goal from a results perspective is to win the league, but it's to win the league with a sustained amount of players that come through our academy, and then on top of that, bringing in Kiwi talent that we feel is up to the standard that we can build on over a long cycle, and then on top of that, the other goal is for those players that have the opportunity to go abroad and reach higher heights, that we aid in that. We aid in that process, right? So if we're producing players that are good enough for Europe, we're doing equally as good if we don't win the league per se.
This season, 2 wins, 2 losses. So how do you assess where you're at in your form going into the break before, obviously, the international break, and now we play in Auckland in the doubleheader this weekend?
I've been genuinely pleased with the progress the team's made. If you told me at the beginning of the season we'll be, undefeated, and we've had 2 wins and 2 draws against, quality opponents, I would have taken it. I just think it really comes down to the amount of work that we've done in the pre-season. We've changed a lot of focus on how we train the boys, and we've had I think a more solid defensive foundation this season, and we've been able to build on a lot of the good things that we did over the last 4 years as well, but obviously with a different bit of focus, and I think it's all coming relatively well at the moment.
Giancarlo with his Phoenix coach, and as I said, it's a doubleheader this weekend, both the men's and women's teams playing at Mount Smart. Under Ufuk, it's a different role for you. So how has it changed being the head coach as to being an assistant? What are the major things that you've noticed?
I mentioned this before in previous interviews that I've had. I've been asked the same question. I think the dynamic changes where, in terms of the relationship with the players. When you're the assistant, you're more of a almost like a counsellor. You're more vested in the day-to-day activities of the players, and they give you sometimes information that otherwise the head coach wouldn't get. So it's more of a mentoring sort of role, whereas the head coach is more about, messaging and the more holistic approach. So there's a bit more of a detachment, I would say, to be a bit more objective in the way you do things. But at the same time, I really haven't changed that much from being an assistant. I let my assistant now try to do all the things that I used to do last season, and I think it's working well in that respect.
Is it physically more work? By that I mean, does it take up much more time during the week?
Yes, it's a pretty full-on role. The thing is, I could have done probably the easy thing and carry on what we were doing for previous years and made my workload a lot easier. But the fact that I've changed the style and just the dynamic and even just training, it's very intensive in terms of planning, making sure everything is looked after in terms of design of the sessions and how we do our analysis. And I think I can safely say that my first day off was last week. I haven't had a day off since, but to be fair, I enjoy it. I like coming into work all the time and constantly, making sure that what I'm doing is not by fluke. There's a process, and that I'm basically across everything.
Have you talked to Ufuk much at all?
We talk occasionally. We're still very good friends, and we have a very good relationship. So I was really happy that he had a job at Sydney, and he's going to do very well with that team.
Well, and the inspiration that Ange Postecoglou must provide, where do your ambitions take you? And is his success and what we're seeing with Tottenham, going on from Celtic to Tottenham, does that open doors in in your own mind where you think, hey, anything can be achieved and happen in this game?
I think from a playing style point of view and what I want to get on the pitch, I think Ange has shown that Aussie coaches and coaches that have come from the A-League are capable of, of reaching the same level as what he's hit. He's done a great apprenticeship. He's coached for many years, right? And he's been around for a long time, but he's given the belief to the local scene, and I take great confidence from that. In terms of my own ambition, I feel like if you just do the work and everyone can see the work, then opportunity will find you. But for me, the main focus is making sure that we at the Phoenix are playing the best football and entertaining our fans all the time.
I want to go back to you saying that sometimes you get results when you're not playing well. The Melbourne victory is one of those, isn't it? Without a shot on goal, a 1-1 draw, and then the VAR could have given us a penalty to actually win that game.
Well, it depends how you look at it, Martin. Sometimes definition of playing well, I think a lot of people categorise playing well as always playing well with the ball. But for 50% of the time, or for majority of games, defending is a large component. So I thought, on that respect, we, apart from maybe a 5-10 minute period in that first half where we allowed shots in our box, I felt as though, especially in the second half, they didn't really get in behind us. Just that one time where they had that VAR penalty waved away for simulation. I feel as though we were in control defensively with the ball. Maybe not the best, but in large part that had to do with one, the heat, two, the travel, and I think as well, once we changed our shape in the second half, was more to take those conditions into effect. I felt as though we kind of lost our way going forward, but I was still very, very happy with the. Performance. I was very happy with the output. Would I have liked to have created more shots? Potentially. I mean, it would have been nice. But I think upon our review when we came back that week after, once we we analysed everything. We're actually quite happy with the chances that we made. It was more about just that last touch, or just the right run, or the opportunity to play into those areas that we could have hurt them.
You're the calmest person that I have ever seen react to a VAR decision that didn't go your way. You're always that calm?
I try to stay level-headed for the game. Look, I think the reaction for me is, it doesn't matter how I react. It's not going to change your decision. I've learned that over the years. The referees. I've yet to see a referee change his mind when things happen. So they're ultimately out of my control. So if I overreact, or if I feel like I'm a little bit too animated, the only bad effect from that is that the players see that, and then that gives them an excuse also to act in a improper manner. So I feel like being level-headed also keeps the head on my players evenly.
What a great answer. All right, 2 quick questions. I'll let you go, and thank you so much for your time. Did you manage to watch any of the All Whites today?
Glimpses. I was preparing for training today. I managed to get a good chunk of the first half, and I haven't seen any of the second half. I'll probably watch it a little bit later.
Do that, because the second half is really, really good. It was a complete contrast between the way that we played in both of those halves. I won't spoil the surprise for you, but if you do get to watch that. And finally, the news that, sure, Auckland is going to get another A-League franchise. What do you think about that?
Well, I've always said, in terms of the New Zealand landscape, I think that it can accommodate one, even potentially 2 more franchises, and I think it's good for the overall health of the game in the country, because there's a lot of players unfortunately miss out for whatever reasons. Sometimes it's circumstance, sometimes it's just right time, right place, sometimes it's it can be an injury, or they're just not at the right place at the right time in terms of being looked at. Now there's an opportunity for all those young players and players that are on that fringe, that they get an ability, or they get an opportunity to join an A-League club, which gives more professional players in turn to the New Zealand setup, which in turn then nourishes the national team.
Great chat, and thank you so much for spending so much time with us. All the very best against Melbourne City for the rest of the season, and I hope a big bumper crowd turns up at Mount Smart to support you in the women's side this weekend.
No problem. Thank you very much, brother.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. That is Giancarlo Italiano, who is known as Chiefy, and he is the coach of the Wellington men's Phoenix side, and they're sitting top 4 at the moment. Pretty